Hello, players. Let's talk about the victim and the saboteur. And so basically, the victim is a very debilitating archetype and behavior and pattern that we can fall into when we do not accept that we can take responsibility, and that this responsibility that we can take for all our creations is actually the biggest freedom and the biggest loving thing that you can ever do to yourself. So, but in this 3D reality, the third dimensional reality that we live in, it seems as if things are being done to us, and this happens even when we're little kids. We see our parents saying no and yes to us, our lives depend on adults. But actually, as we grow older and we start to study the metaphysical teachings, and we see, people manifesting things and creating things, and especially in the world that we are in, we see a lot of people healing themselves. We see a lot of people creating things from their vision board, magical things happen in their lives. We have to acknowledge that we are not just victims. A victim is somebody who believes that things are dependent on the behavior of others, and that their consciousness is separate from the world around them. When we grow out of the victim and we start to study the reality of the esoteric teachings and the law of attraction, the law of vibration, and we start to understand consciousness, we start to understand that we're not separate, but we're one with everything around us. And when we acknowledge that we're one with everything around us, we will have to take responsibility that we can actually affect other people when we are going to project and are going to interact with other people. So for instance, when you're a victim in victim mode, you will always believe that other people are going to impact whether you can have something, whether you can have wealth, whether you can be loved, whether you can be successful, whether you can be free, etc., etc. Whereas if you start to understand that you're a creator, you're a victor, you actually start to see that, other people are a reflection of you. Their consciousness is intermingled with your consciousness. So when you start shifting and you start appreciating your life, you start appreciating yourself, you start appreciating them, you start focusing on the best of these other people, whether it's employers, clients, spouses, parents, in-laws, colleagues, neighbors, it doesn't really matter. When you start appreciating them, you start to see that your life will shift and that you will shift. Most of all, when you start appreciating yourself and your power to actually stay stuck, or your power to break free, you're going to see that so much will shift in your life, and then there's no way that you want to stay in the victim. It's very, very painful to stay in the victim. And so this shift from catching yourself in the victim archetype and patterns is a huge one, because every time you feel bad and you feel that somebody out there, something out there is doing something to you that makes you feel a certain way, makes you feel disempowered, makes you feel limited, know that you're in victim mode and snap out of it and seek the truth, which is you are creating this with your unconsciousness. You are in a trance. When we get out of the trance, we become a victor and we become an infinite creator, an infinite being. And that is what in the chapter 4 of Science of Getting Rich, they would call the truth, with capital TRUTH. That we are victims is just an appearance. It's just the human conditioning that we're all born into in this 3-dimensional reality. And it is time that we snap out of it, because we are too powerful. The other archetype that we can learn a lot from is the saboteur, and the saboteur is more powerful than the victim. The victim always feels powerless. The victim is always thinking, people, circumstances outside of me are doing things to me, whereas the saboteur is more like feeling more power, and they will actually create excuses or justifications to actually terminate things, terminate their own success, or not take on, a huge risk that, or even something that is very good, because there's something in them that's very afraid of their power. And you can alternate victim and saboteur behavior, but it's so important that you start to notice these patterns in your life, because they are so self-depreciating and self-devaluing, these archetypes. And ultimately, it is not who you are. Who we are is, the inner being, the flamingo. All these states that take us away from our inner being, or the flamingo, as we call it in the game, is really you being in a trance, you being in a pendulum, you being in a lower state of consciousness. And we are here in this game to teach ourselves to catch ourselves and to transform it. And you know, just these little nuggets of understanding how we can be stuck and how to identify it can really, really pay big dividends. So we hope that you will have fun. Do not get stuck in depreciating or devaluing yourself or beating yourself up about being a victim, because all of us have been there, you know, and all of us are growing out of it, you know. And you shouldn't, you know, be very grateful and appreciative of yourself, even catching yourself. And really understand that you know, this is the journey we all have to make, and some of us are pioneers in this, and as we do it, we will help children, people we love, and other people that are around us shift their vibration and their consciousness, because we're no longer playing the victim. Yes, so I hope that this is a very insightful lesson to work with, because it will really shift your life. Lots of love. Bye bye.